Chase Young is out, and Philadelphia rolled the Washington Commanders just a couple of weeks ago, but why is this game different for the Eagles? I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. What's up, guys? Thomas Mott here. Welcome to the Thomas Mott Show on a Monday, as we are hours away from Eagles versus Washington Commanders coming up on Monday Night Football. And what was supposed to be Carson Wentz's return now has a pretty hot and much better looking Washington Commander football team led by Taylor Heinicke traveling to the Link to try to go ahead and upset the Eagles' undefeated perfect season, and what looks to be, again, a very good game, and a game that is important for Philadelphia. We say this every single week, that every game for the Eagles is important, but what happened yesterday with the Minnesota Vikings winning and the Dallas Cowboys losing only elevates the importance of this interdivisional game the second time you're going to go ahead and face the Washington Commanders. So let's just go ahead and jump into everything you need to know to get you ready for this matchup. Starting with the injury report, probably why you went ahead and clicked on this show. What is the deal right now for both Philadelphia and the Washington Commanders? Well, there's a mixed bag for both teams, good and bad. So we talked about this in a show a couple of days ago. It is official now. Avonte Maddox will be out. Here's the Bleeding Green Nation report you see on your screen right now. The nickel cornerback is officially not going to go ahead and play in this one, and it will be Josiah Scott taking his spot in the slot position. Now, Philadelphia is relatively very, very healthy. I mean, he has been, or they've had their ups and downs in terms of injuries this year, but this is the healthiest they have been overall in terms of an actual pre-game injury report, as basically everybody is good to go, and everyone is going to play minus Avonte Maddox. It's just going to be definitely a downgrade there in the slot, because as you see on your screen, Josiah Scott's passer rating whenever targeted, when he's played this year, is a 127.5 versus Avonte Maddox's 77.5. And so obviously the secondary without Avonte Maddox will have to go ahead and pick up the pace. But other than that, Philadelphia has been extremely healthy so far this week, and they should be good to go into Monday Night Football. Now, for the Washington Commanders, a little bit different of a story. Good news is that Jahan Dotson is going to go ahead and play. He did not have a game status, meaning he was not on the final injury report as of yesterday. And Dotson's been definitely a favorite of Taylor Heinicke and been a very good wide receiver for them so far this year. And so that is good news right now for the Washington Commanders. The bad news is there will be no Cole Holcomb, no David Mayo, and no J.D. McKissick, all out officially for the Monday night game. And as we'll see in just 1 second, there's no official word on Chase Young as of shooting this show, filming this show, but I would bet by the time you watch this show, he will be officially ruled out, because the indications are that he is not going to go ahead and play. Now, we get that officially from the Commanders' defensive coordinator, Jack Del Rio. See the tweet on your screen here from John Keim just yesterday saying, quote, "I wouldn't call him full speed at this point in everything he's doing, but he's working at it, giving it everything he has. When he's right, we're going to play him. Until he's right, we're not going to play him." And so it does feel like he is not 100%. If he were to actually go ahead and play, I would not only be surprised, but it'd be in a very limited capacity, and most likely not be the typical, Chase Young game record that Commander fans and sometimes Eagle fans have come to know and love or hate, depending on what team you're rooting for in tonight's matchup. So again, overall, pretty darn healthy for Philadelphia, and no Chase Young, I think, is good news for the Eagles as a whole. All that defensive line for the Washington Commanders, the strength of that entire football team, they've been playing really, really, really good football, and will definitely be trying to play undefeated season spoiler of the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday night. Before we go ahead and jump into a full breakdown of this game, minus, of course, the injury report, I want to mention the DraftKings link for tonight's game, specifically that you see down below in the description box. This is a crazy good deal. If you're feeling good about the Eagles tonight against the Washington Commanders, you bet $5 on the Eagles, you get back $200 if they win in free bets. This is a crazy good promo right now. All you got to do, use my link down below, takes you to the TFM website, and then just follow the instructions to sign up, create an account, deposit $5, bet $5 on the Philadelphia Eagles. If they win that $5 money line bet, you are going to be $200 richer in free bets via DraftKings. So not a lot of shows have DraftKings links. We do here at the Thomas Mott Show. It's a crazy good opportunity for you guys to win some money. So jump in on this by betting down below using the link. Okay, as I mentioned, this is the first real, I'm not going to say test for the Philadelphia Eagles, because as we know, they have had plenty of tests. They already beat the Minnesota Vikings, the Dallas Cowboys. They look fantastic. But the one thing the national media keeps harping on is, oh, well, once a team plays Philadelphia twice, they're going to already have so much to learn from in that first game. They're going to figure out this Eagle offense. Really? That's the narrative that we're going on? Because, of course, the national media cannot give Philadelphia the praise that they deserve. It's just how it works week in and week out. We cover it here on the show. But if you go back to that game just a couple of weeks ago, 24-8, it is a different Washington Commanders team. And it will be a very big statement win if the Eagles are able to go ahead and get the dub tonight. Not only because they'll be 9-0 and further ahead in the actual number one seed playoff race, but it will prove that a team can know what's coming and not be able to stop the high-powered Eagle offense. Now, no Carson Wentz, in will come Taylor Heinicke. That is good news for Washington, as Heinicke, very similar numbers as a whole, but he does not take as many sacks, and that's a big difference because Carson Wentz was sacked 9 times against Philadelphia in that Week 3 victory for the Eagles. What I'm very curious to see if Philadelphia can run the ball better than they did in that 24-8 win again there in Week 3, because they hadn't really gotten the running game fully going as well as it is currently back there during Week 3. It was a lot more passing through the air. Big day from Devontae Smith, big day from A.J. Brown. I expect similar things from that, but I do think Philadelphia's going to try to establish the run and what's going to be a very cold Lincoln Financial Field, as the current weather report is about 32, 33 degrees on Monday night, and so it's going to be great running football weather for the Philadelphia Eagles, with a chance to hopefully dominate and establish a really big win here in the NFC East, and also, of course, in the NFC as a whole. We're going to go ahead and get to the conference rankings, division rankings, and some of the big games in Sunday night here in just 1 second. First, though, I do want to mention, if you do feel good about the Washington Commanders losing on Sunday and the Birds winning, give this show a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe. We just hit 6,000 subs here on the Thomas Mott Show, which is incredible, and I appreciate each and every one of you guys. 6,000 in just like 2 months is really good. Let's keep marching and get to 10,000 subs. That would be really fun here. Hopefully, if you guys do like the Eagles in this game, you'll like it as well. Before we get into those games from yesterday, including the Cowboys losing in overtime, that was fantastic. Should thumbs up for that. Just in general, there's a really good preview on Bleeding Green Nation. 5 questions with the enemy. We should almost do this article every single week here, as we love what they do at BGN, where they interview one of the beat writers for the Washington Commanders, and we go through the Commanders side of things going into this football game, taking on our Eagles. Their first question, and we'll answer it for you. Safe to say that Carson Wentz era in Washington is already over, right? To what extent is Taylor Heinicke an upgrade at this point? And they basically say what I'm going to say to you right now. Wentz statistically wasn't terrible, but it's those moments during the game where Carson Wentz holds onto the ball too long, has a terrible interception, takes a sack and then loses the football. All those things, they're not gone with Taylor Heinicke because he still makes some bad throws, but they're definitely mitigated. And I think Heinicke should be the quarterback for the Commanders going forward, and he definitely is finding these receivers who have had a massive upgrade in terms of numbers, I think, since Carson Wentz was injured, benched, whatever you want to go ahead and call it. Not to say Heinicke's a world beater. He could beat Philadelphia on Monday night, but he's not like something special, but I think he's an upgrade over Carson Wentz. What's different about the Commanders since the last time that they were able to go ahead and play? Well, Brian Robinson, who of course was recovering from the gunshot wound, did not play in the Week 3 matchup, so he will be out there as well. And he's a nice changeup from Antonio Gibson. And Gibson, he's now returning for them in terms of kicks, and he's a top 5 returner in the National Football League as well. They mentioned Dan Snyder selling the game, or selling the Commanders. Not a big point there for Monday Night Football. We don't really care about that. Biggest strength for the Commanders and their biggest weakness. Here's the answer from the Commander beat writer. Quote, Commanders' biggest strength at this point is its defense. Seems to be getting more and more cohesive. Figure the defensive line, led by John Allen and Daron Payne, have been superb. Its weakness has to be its quarterback, followed closely by its offensive line. I'll be very interested to see if Scott Turner can develop a game plan to help neutralize Philly's defense, but I'm not counting on it. And again, if Philadelphia can have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sacks as they did in that Week 3 win, it could be a very long night for Taylor Heinicke. DraftKings, as we mentioned, as the Eagles as 10.5-point favorites. Your score prediction for this one, they say 24-17 Philadelphia. I think the Eagles are dominant in this one. I think it's going to be maybe a little bit more low scoring than people are expecting. Why not 27-17 Philadelphia? And what I think is going to be a nice 9-0 start to the Eagles season, something we have not seen them do ever in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles. Give me y'all score prediction down below. How y'all feeling? I say 27-17. Let me see what you guys are saying, and I'll be reading those comments here on the show, as I always do. All right, let's go ahead and go to our games from yesterday and see how they impacted Philadelphia, our national story of the day. Green Bay winning is very big. Now, it's very big for the Eagles in the NFC East. I do have my not regrets that the Packers won, but you do kind of worry about Rodgers getting hot later on in the year and then coming to Philadelphia in a divisional round game and beating the Eagles. But I'm not going to worry about that too much. Anytime the Cowboys lose, that is really good stuff. And now Philadelphia 3.5 games up with the Dallas Cowboys in the NFC East. Of course, the Giants won yesterday, so they're only a couple of games ahead of that, but very much ahead of the Cowboys. That was really, really good. Same thing goes for Bucs and Seahawks. Really didn't matter who won that football game. I do kind of worry about Brady getting hot, and of course in the playoffs, but it's good to see the Seahawks come back down to earth a little bit, as the national media was really starting to get on the Seahawks hype train, maybe a little bit too much. That Viking-Bills game was incredible. It's obviously going to be the game of the year so far through 9 weeks of the NFL season. It's a real bummer the Vikings won, though. I mean, The Vikings are the one big problem right now for the 1 seed. Had the Vikings lost yesterday and Philly won tonight, the Eagles would be 2.5 games up with that 1 spot. Way more comfortable than the current 1.5 games that they are if they were to go ahead and win this evening. And so Minnesota's been hot, but the Eagles beat them. And so anyone who wants to tell you the Eagles have not beaten anybody, just show them week 2 when Philadelphia just drubbed the Vikings on Monday Night Football, and then hopefully they'll shut up because they're stupid. Lions and Bears is not a factor at all. Titans and Broncos is not a factor at all either in terms of what Philadelphia is doing. Kansas City is now your 1 seed in the AFC with the Bills losing, so that's notable in terms of the AFC side of things. The Giants winning yet again, they just don't lose, and it's very, very frustrating from an Eagle fan perspective because I still don't think the Giants are as talented as the Eagles or even close to being as talented as the Eagles, but man, they're going to be a problem, and Philadelphia's going to face them here very, very soon, and that's going to be a massive game you circle on your Eagle calendar, but the Giants keep winning. They beat the 1-7 Texans now, who are poised for a number 1 overall pick and potentially a quarterback. Saints losing, great news for the Philadelphia Eagles. That means the draft pick is now inside the top 5. The Raiders winning is a bummer for that, though, because now Philadelphia's pick is not inside the top 3 because the Raiders' record is worse than the Saints. And, of course, the Cardinals beating the Rams. Those teams are both trash. Both backup quarterbacks might be the nail in the coffin for the defending Super Bowl champs, which is good news for almost every team in the NFC, because now you don't have to play Cooper Kupp or go ahead and face Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey in a playoff game, and that, I think, regardless of if you think your team is good or not, is good news overall for everybody. Okay, I want to go ahead and wrap up here by taking a quick look at the NFL standings as they currently sit here. And it is notable, again, that lead right now for Philadelphia at 8-0. If they're able to beat Washington tonight, not only do you kind of bury Washington in terms of a division-winning chance, because they technically were still alive, but you get further ahead of the Dallas Cowboys and further ahead of the New York Giants, and that is really, really good news. Minnesota remains seemingly the NFC Championship game matchup as it currently stands, but Green Bay will be a tough wild card matchup for whoever they play in the first round. And the Bucs are going to win their division. They will be most likely the 4 seed in the NFC and have to go ahead and host a playoff game and maybe come to Philadelphia as the lowest winning seed if we're talking playoffs as a whole. All right, plenty more great stuff coming up here on the Thomas Mott Show. Maybe I'll do another mock draft this week. You guys like me a too early mock draft? We'll take a look at how high that draft pick for Philadelphia is maybe on Tuesday or Wednesday. And, of course, keep you guys up to date with everything happening with your Eagles and the rest of the National Football League, as I always do here on the Thomas Mott Show. Again, DraftKings link is down below. Bet on the Eagles. $5 gets you your $20 or $200 back in free bets. A really good deal. And let's just go ahead and get to 9-0, baby. I know losses are going to happen eventually. They're not going to be undefeated, but it's fun to stay undefeated and it'd be fun to blow out the division rival and the Commanders on Monday Night Football. That will be a rocket in the Lincoln Financial Field. I know you guys are pumped for that. I am too. That's all the time we have for on this show. I'm Thomas Mott. See you guys.